news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
In our headlines this afternoon, cops secure confession for gruesome murder of Berbice cousin charges recommend for suspects. Woman trapped in bedroom perishes in fire. Starbuck block deal revealed but lopsided provision untouched according to Jagdeo. DPP defends right to order magistrate to reinstitute murder charge on Marcus Bistram. Contractors want hundreds of billions to service monitor pumps and excavators orders at NDIA. Venezuelan gangs still remain a threat at Guyana's borders, Army Chief of Staff, according to Bess. And in the Harbour Bridge, the Harbour Bridge Board recommends action against persons culpable in asphalt plant racket. In the Mingo and Lawrence election fraud case, prosecution failed to file statement. And meanwhile, Lusignan prisoners beat strip inmate who was remanded on rape charge. Get the details of these and much more when the news returns.
Digicel Prime Bundles just got better with 3 new apps. Watch more with PlayGo. Share more with Sportsmax. Read more news with Loop. Listen more with D-Music. Plus extra data. It's simply more bundled together. 51 gigabytes for 7 days for only $2,000. Live the experience with Digicel. Activate today on the My Digicel app.
With your Friday, January 15th edition news at noon, I am Joshua Van Slykeman. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. Just before I bring to you your news in details, let's bring to you today's page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. Equatorial Guinea has shown a firm hand when it comes to ensuring that participation of locals in the value chain of its petroleum sector. This is evidenced by the way it dealt with one company which is found was not adhering to the rules for local content. When the country determined this infraction was being committed, it expelled the company from its oil industry. If Guyana wants to show that it is serious about local content, it will ensure it handles companies that destroys its laws and regulation in like manner. We start some things. I beg your pardon there. We start your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio by telling you investigators secured a major breakthrough in their quest to find the perpetrators behind the gruesome murders of West Berbice teens Isaiah and Joel Henry, as the Director of Public Prosecution recommended charges instituted on the 3 suspects in custody. Sources have confirmed that the men in custody are two-time prison escapee 34-year-old Vinud Gopal, 33, Dan Pole, and a 19-year-old called Monkey. Sources relayed that the men were said to have established in August a camp in the backlands along with their cannabis plot and left the plants to flourish. Upon their return in September, the men reportedly discovered that their camp and farm was destroyed. The suspects, sources disclosed, were informed that the 2 young men from the Cotton Tree area are known to trample the backlands and destroy farms. Days later, the Henry cousins were said to have ventured to the camp. While conversing with 2 of the suspects, the cousins were asked whether they knew anything about the cannabis farm being destroyed. Sources said that one of the Henry boys laughed and that action angered one of the suspects, who swiftly took out a cutlass and dealt a chop to his neck. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. Even though the Starbuck Block production sharing agreement contains several weak provisions and have been reviewed by the PPP administration, Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo made it pellucid that all provisions have and will remain intact. Jagdeo said what the government is doing instead is using the review process as the platform for developing mechanisms that will bring Guyanese more benefits. He said this is the reason why a local content policy and a gas to shore project was being produced. He reminded of the commitment that the government made to ensure that as part of the review, it would not be renegotiating the Exxon deal, but rather look at ways to get more benefits. Director of Public Prosecution Shalimir Ali Haq has defended her rights to order a magistrate to reinstitute charges on former murder accused Marcus Bisram during the case continued on Wednesday at the appeal court in Kingston. Bisram was extradited from the United States to face a murder charge for the Berbice carpenter Fazal Narian Dat over a year ago. He was, however, discharged of the crime by Magistrate Renita Singh, something that the DPP has challenged in the court. As part of her arguments, the DPP pointed out to Section 72 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, which she said gives her the right to direct the magistrate to reopen the preliminary inquiry and commit the accused of trial. On this preface, the DPP said that her directives for Bisram to be committed to stand trial was proper, reasonable, and lawfully made. She stressed, among other things, that the magistrate erred in findings that there was not enough evidence to commit Bisram for trial. And moving on, MP Tab on Tuesday opened 245 bids for two government ministries at the Ministry of Finance office on Main Street. Notable projects included, among others, the operations, servicing and monitoring of the NDIA excavators, bulldozers and motor grader pontoons, mobile fixed pumps and transportation of fuel and lubricants, as well as the infrastructural development works at Metamexorg, Stewartville, Anna Katrina and Cornelius Isle, and other villages across Guyana under the CH and PA. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. A woman who was reportedly trapped in her bedroom yesterday perished in an early morning fire. The deceased has been identified as 26-year-old Crystal Chung. Fire Chief Marlon Gentle stated that the fire is still under active investigations. It is understood that the fire occurred around 5 hours 30 at Lot 8 Little Diamond East Bank, Demerara. She lives with her father, mother, and little sister. Chung's parents and sister were able to escape from the fire, but she was not as fortunate since she was trapped in her bedroom. It was reported that before the firefighters arrived, there were loud cries for help coming from her bedroom. Her father and another man attempted to rescue her, but the blaze was too intense. After the firefighters were notified that the woman was trapped in the bedroom, they aimed their hoses at the bedroom area to control the fire. However, that was not enough, since screams of the woman was no longer being heard after some time. You're tuned into Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Still to come, Venezuelan gangs still remain a threat at Guyana's borders, according to Army Chief of Staff Bess. In the Mingo and Lawrence election fraud case, prosecution fails to file statements. Meanwhile, boy 13 shot in Aruca River crossfire, and Lusignan prisoners beat strip inmate who was remanded on rape charge. And meanwhile, Harbour Bridge Board recommends actions against persons culpable in asphalt plant. Stay with us right here on Kaieteur Radio.
Join Glenn Lal himself on The Glenn Lal Show. Tell it like it is. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Weekdays at 7:20 p.m. and Sunday at 7 p.m. Tell it like it is.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. GDF Chief of Staff Brigadier Godfrey Best said during a press conference on Tuesday last that the Venezuelan gang known as Sindicatos is still a threat at the Guyanese borders. Best said that because of our borders with the country, Guyana will definitely be affected by the Venezuelan gangs. In order to counter the threat, Best continued, GDF is more alert at the borders and is ready to lawfully continue to preserve Guyana's patrimony. The prosecution yesterday failed to file the statements of the witnesses that are expected to testify against Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo and the chairperson for the People's National Congress, Valdo Lawrence, in the election fraud cases. The duo yesterday made another court appearance in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Ann McLennan. They are being represented by Attorney-at-Laws Nigel Hughes and Darren Wade. Yesterday, the prosecution was expected to file statements of witnesses that are expected to testify against Lawrence and Mingo. However, such was failed. The matter was adjourned to January 28, 2021. A 13-year-old boy was shot to his right shoulder on Wednesday during what police sources says was a crossfire between joint services ranks and the suspected Venezuelan gangs in the Arauca River, Region 1. Currently receiving treatment at the Georgetown Public Hospital is Antoine John of Barima River. Region 1 Police Commander Khalad Mandlal said that around 1 hour 30, the ranks had an exchange of gunfire with occupants of another boat, during which a civilian was injured. The GDF rank Coast Guard based there along with police was at the time combining the river for suspected Sindicato gang members accused of robbing a Port Kaituma businessman hours earlier. 5 prisoners from the Lusignan prison East Coast Demerara were yesterday transferred to another prison in Georgetown after they stripped and beat an inmate that was remanded to prison on a rape charge. Based on a video seen, the group assaulted the inmate who was standing near a post with his underwear torn and his clothes scattered to the ground. The prisoners used their footwear to beat the inmate, while others used their hands. Last evening, while giving reference to the video, Director of Prisons Nicolan Elliott confirmed that the incident happened at the Holding Bay at Lusignan prison on Wednesday night. A 51-year-old man of Bath Settlement, West Coast, Berbice was on Monday charged with causing death by dangerous driving and driving a motor pickup while his breath alcohol exceeded the prescribed limit, when he appeared at the Providence Magistrates Court before Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman. The defendant, Suraj Latchman, pleaded not guilty to the charge, which alleged on January 8th he drove a motor pickup in a manner dangerous to the public, causing the death of 36-year-old Dale Jordan. Latchman was placed on bail at the sum of $307,500 and will make his next court appearance on January 29th. In a statement issued this week, CARICOM expressed deep concerns at the current prospect of the vaccine. CARICOM said that the unavoidable link between the CARICOM countries, whether economically, socially, and by travel within the region and internationally, makes it important for them to be afforded access to vaccine, and it is a matter of urgent priority. It was stated that the vaccine access for the community will be mutually benefit as it will blast and break in the transmission of the virus. And following the exposure and audit of a racket at the Garden of Eden asphalt plant, the Board of Directors of the Demerara Harbour Bridge Corporation have recommended that actions be taken against those persons found culpable. According to Minister of Public Works, Juan Edgel, the board has prepared an independent report to his ministry, to which he is yet to examine in details the actions and recommendations made by the board, he told the media on Wednesday. The board issued this independent report after a specially organized team appointed by Minister Edgel conducted an audit of accounts and operation in the asphalt plant. And finally, at this time on Wednesday, during the signing of the contract between Guyana and India for the ocean-going ferry to North Westminster, the Minister of Public Works, Bishop Juan Edgel, announced that the resumption of the Guyana-Suriname ferry service will be discussed on a diplomatic level between Guyana and Suriname. The Mulson Creek ferry service was initially set for reopening in December, but was cancelled by the government after it was found that about 600 Cuban nationals had assembled at the border in hopes of using Guyana as a transit point to the United States of America. Before that, the ferry service was halted earlier last year due to the COVID-19 travel restrictions imposed on the borders. And with that, we've come to the end of your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Let's remind you that you can get the full details of these stories and much more by picking up a copy of the Kaieteur News at the newsstand near you, or head across to our website at kaieteurnewsonline.com. I am Joshua Van Slegman. Thank you for joining us. Have a great remainder of your Friday afternoon, and we encourage you to continue to listen to us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Coming up immediately after the break, it will be time for a commentary from the publisher of Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Lal, after which we'll bring to you a Friday edition of the National Outlook with GHK Lal.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.